Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View. I'm Beck. I'm joined today with Mary on the far end, as always, Renee, and Jan sitting next to me. There's, when I say the news cycle is fast and furious, I mean it literally. It's really fast and furious.
More furious.
And we can't keep up. I kept rewriting today's topics as the day was unfolding, right up until about an hour before I came in here. First of all, we're going to start with what happened at the Capitol. Even though it was last Wednesday, the fallout from that is continuing in a pretty big way. Because I don't think anybody here, does everybody agree with me, was wrong? Shouldn't have happened.
Should not
no
have happened.
excuses.
Anyone inside that building needs to be arrested.
Okay, so we all agree with that. And we all agreed that the riots last summer were a travesty.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have the same opinion. But the Democrats and the news media, the mainstream news media, do not have the same opinion. They are treating the Capitol very differently than what we've seen in the past. And I was surprised. I actually looked and saw that there were actually a lot of other riots or protests in the Capitol that the left did not make such a big deal at. Let's look at this one. This is during the Kavanaugh hearing. Okay, we'll look at this. Let's scroll. There's a couple pages. This is just since Trump has been in office. I'm not going to read it all, but you can see they'll have number of arrests. So you can look at those numbers. And there's a couple pages of these. And this is just since Trump was in office. Different things. The Kavanaugh hearing brought a lot of people in protesting in ways that were not acceptable, and there were a lot of arrests made in the Capitol. So this isn't the first time. Now, granted, see, here's a whole nother page, and there's more, everybody. And I don't know how many people were aware. I actually, until I looked it up, didn't realize there were quite this many. So protests on the Capitol are not unheard of. The reaction, however, is unheard of this last one.
But I do think it's a little bit different in the sense where they broke into the Capitol, where these, they might have been protests at the Capitol versus breaking into the Capitol, breaking windows. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt on that.
I agree with that. I agree. The number of people, and there were people that died. There was a woman who was shot, and there's a couple police officers who have said to have died from their injuries from it. So it was a violent protest, and it was absolutely wrong. And I wish I agree that it was wrong, but we are resenting that it's being treated completely differently from the people that didn't say boo, that even encouraged the previous protests, are now condemning this and changing some of the narrative, saying that, I read an article today in our local paper, that Trump egged them on and that he basically gave them their marching orders. No, that isn't quite what happened. I have another video too. I don't know if we have it ready to go. Okay, on another protest. Now this one wasn't, and maybe I don't want to keep going over the same topic of the previous protest, but just gives you a little insight that everything wasn't always peaceful.
It's coming! November! It's coming! November! It's coming! Survivors vote! Survivors vote! Allies vote!
They were screaming, they were whistling, they were disruptive, they weren't supposed to be there. Nobody got shot and killed, and they didn't have the same numbers we saw on Wednesday. But let's just, for the record, this isn't the first time we've had that kind of
behavior.
Yeah, kind of behavior, and it's all a tragedy. And the problem is the reaction now. This has been a call to shut everything down, and that there's even been reports that we need to cleanse the Trump supporters. Cleanse 74 million people, at least, that we now need to cleanse the country of this. And so as of today, Parler is no longer in existence. It doesn't exist anymore. Everything has been shut down. Now the head CEO of Parler is going to charge racketeering charges, because you can't just all of a sudden shut everybody down. This is like communist China, taking away our right to free speech. And let's see if we can get that video up.
If it doesn't even matter if you're Republican or conservative. If you don't want to be regulated by left-wingers that are at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, where you get shadow banned, nobody gets to see you, they get to decide what's violent or not violent, it's preposterous. So I don't know where the Department of Justice is at right now, or the FBI. This is clearly a violation of antitrust, civil rights, the RICO statute. There should be a racketeering investigation on all the people that coordinated this attack on not only a company, but on all of those like us, like me, like you, Maria. I have 3 million followers on Parler. Tonight, I will no longer be able to communicate with those people.
And he was correct. Parler no longer exists.
And now it's said that all of Parler's information, up to 80 terabytes of user information, has been taken from Parler just before they shut them down. Now what they're going to do with it, I have absolutely no clue, but that part kind of terrifies me, because it could be a way for them to single out people or to censor them in some other way. There are people that have lost their jobs. They're just because of their opinions. And I'm really not sure what things are coming to. I know that there was another person, Jason Fick, F-Y-K is the last name, and he put a lawsuit before the Supreme Court on the misuse of Section 230 by big tech, and SCOTUS declined to hear the case, and by doing so, they've inherently said that big tech has unlimited power and immunity. Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, has sharply criticized Twitter's decision to ban the president, calling it a problematic breach of the fundamental right to speech. Elon Musk, a lot of people are going to be super unhappy with the West Coast high tech as the de facto arbiter of free speech. Does this not fall into the free speech category, or is it only when someone else's free speech is inhibited?
Watching this, the first thing I thought was of that saying, they came for the Jews first, but I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't speak up. And I've been watching this for a long time, and I've been screaming a long time, and a lot of people have been on our team screaming for censorship, and because it wasn't an interest to other people, they suppressed the truth. And now it's sad to watch, because now they're seeing it. It's at their doorstep, and now they're going, whoa, okay, this is bad, but this actually started a long time ago.
I just wonder if the people that were on Parler and now, you know, they have all that information, are they going to take that information and put them on a domestic terrorist list? You know, there's always been thoughts of that, because if anyone made any type of a remark that they wanted to harm someone or something in some way, that's considered domestic terrorism. So now, are those people who said something just like, oh my gosh, you could say that, you know, to your kids, oh, I feel like killing them today, you know, are they going to take that literally and put you on a domestic terrorist list? There's a lot of things to think about here.
It has been said, it has been suggested that they do that we need to start taking names, and these people who supported him need to suffer. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about the cause for the president's impeachment with less than 2 weeks to go. When we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef in all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Heroes and Icons is changing to Cozy TV on January 18th. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. During the last segment, we were talking about censorship, and that's one of the beauties of this show. We are not censored here, and it's no laughing matter because it's happening so quickly that I think some people are not only blindsided, but numb from what's happening. And before we move on, I want to talk about the calls for Trump to be impeached. But did you have any more you wanted to add before we move on?
I'm just kind of overwhelmed by the hypocrisy of it all. It seems that, you know, this weekend I saw 2 documentaries on television. One had to do with drug trafficking, and it showed how every administration since the 1950s has been involved in some way in drug trafficking in this country, and not in a good way. The other one that I saw was a documentary on Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, and how the King family fought so hard to exonerate James Earl Ray, and that they pointed the finger towards an FBI marksman. Now, I don't bring that up saying that that's censorship, but just the opposite, that they can blatantly accuse the administrations, past and present, of doing things, and they were not censored, but a couple of people said something on a platform and they were. The hypocrisy it screams to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, as I was saying, I could get into a little more depth, but most people know that I began studying and researching vaccines 38 years ago. And there's over 2,000 peer-reviewed studies that have been censored. And I was trying to tell everybody, listen, even if you don't believe in this affects you. It affects everybody when we are censored, even if you don't, agree with my viewpoint. And then with COVID, we've seen the censorship of 36,000 scientists. And these are all, really serious issues. And we've had all these warnings for years on this censorship. And maybe we could learn something from this, that even if we don't agree with each other, we should all be for not silencing anybody. And that's so important. I think on the left or the right, everybody should be able to speak on their views. And when we are not able to speak, that's a frightening thing. And now we're seeing the end result of really people ignoring all this. And now it's come to everybody's front door, and we should all be concerned. But maybe the left isn't concerned because it's the right that is, this attack is on. But trust me, it will eventually affect the left as well.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what's so crazy right now is Twitter, you know, they're defending Twitter and any of the platforms saying, well, you know, it's their business. They can go ahead and put anybody on they want or take anybody off that they want because it's their business. Well, then why did the government close down all the other businesses in the United States? They're privately owned as well. So why are those businesses closed? But yet Twitter, they're a small business. They can do whatever they want. That's the frustrating part, that they're getting treated differently.
That is a great point, Mary. I'm glad you made it. Yeah. Yeah, like the rules apply depending on the circumstances and what the people in charge in the media
It is for
and in
thee
control.
and not for me.
Yes, yes. Well, along these lines now, they are saying they want to, Nancy Pelosi and the many Democrats want to impeach President Trump. And the Republicans have urged her not to go forward with this. He's in office for less than 2 weeks now.
But we need to make it clear the reason they want this impeachment to go through is because if he is impeached, he doesn't have a chance of running again. And so just to let our viewers know that that's the reason. They know there's only 2 weeks left. But if he gets impeached, he can't run again. Not that he would, but they want to make darn sure that he doesn't.
Right. I'm glad you made that point, Mary. They really want to seal off any possibility of a future Trump presidency. And so that's why they're going forward with it. And Senator Lindsey Graham said in an interview recently, asking Biden to pick up the phone and tell Nancy to stop this, that this is not going to unify our country. But Biden has said, well, we're really focused on getting ready for the inauguration, and we just need to let this play out and let the law, nobody's above the law. So this would not be unifying in any way, shape, or form. It's ridiculous with 2 weeks left that this is, don't we have more pressing things going on? Mm-hmm. But I think it's part of the effort of wanting to cleanse the movement, that this more and more talk is coming up about cleansing the movement of Trump. So I have a video here that talks about freedom in our country, and I want to take a look at it because I think we need to see it and remind ourselves and just be aware of what's happening right now.
And see that through it all, we all want the same. Our loved ones safe and fed and cared for. Our fundamental ability to express our views, dreams, and hopes unchallenged by accusations and hatred. And most of all, censorship. And to drown out the voices seeking to divide us, and to face our own hypocrisy.
Please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
The only modern Western democracy that I can think of that said anything close to this is the Third Reich, Nazi Germany.
And sadly, we have forgotten that freedom was never free. That freedom was a result of great sacrifice. And we sit today with the great realization that freedom, despite all its greatness, can be taken in an instant. The greatest achievement of the American people was the realization that freedom was worth fighting for. So what is freedom? Freedom is more than a moment, more than a single action. Freedom is greater than any single idea. Freedom is everything.
That video was part of a bigger video made by eGuard Watch Company, and I just really give them credit. If it's a good company, I think, to do business with. And I don't want this to be about race. we have a mixed race family. I don't want this to be about race. It has to do with censorship and about different perspectives. And why is it okay for one side to be violent and not another? And do you know what was trending this last weekend on Twitter? Hang Mike Pence. That's okay, but then Parler is being taken down?
I don't think so. I think evil should be called out wherever it is. You know, people vandalized Pelosi's home, they vandalized Schumer's home, and that was just as wrong as anything that took place anywhere else in the country. There was not a better protest or worse protest if it included any type of violence or destruction. You can make your voice heard, but not use violence.
I love this message because it was unifying. And real leaders unite people. And we all have to remember our rights come from God, they don't come from government. And the government's only job is to protect our God-given rights.
Right. This is about unity, and I'm not seeing it right now. So when we come back, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about a couple that won, instead of the right to live, it was a right. They did not want their baby to have been born, and so they sued, and they won. So we'll talk about that on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here were terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we had a discussion that didn't want to end, but we're going to end it here, on things like censorship and what's going on with the whole Trump administration and the election and calls for impeachment. We're going to leave that aside for now, and I want to talk about a lawsuit that was settled. A couple in California, you've heard of wrongful death lawsuits. This was a wrongful birth lawsuit. Yes, you heard me right. Wrongful birth. They sued and they asked for $80 million because their daughter had been born with Down syndrome in 2014. This suit was filed in 2015. It was just settled last week. We don't know the details of the settlement, but they won. And they complained because they would have aborted their daughter had they known. And now they're complaining and sued, and they won. How can you win for a wrongful birth? How can you live with yourself and have this child, this human being inside, I'm so angry that she was born, I gotta sue somebody and get some kind of compensation?
It makes my stomach hurt quite a bit. What does this child go through in their lifetime? How do you tell someone that you don't matter enough, that you shouldn't be here, and I wanted to terminate you because you're not perfect to my standards, even though God would say otherwise? I just get this sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. How could they not just do an adoption? Even if they were compensated for it, it would be better than for them to have been able to do this.
This level of wickedness is sad, and I think about like how
it's upsetting.
How do you like look at your child?
Yeah.
And just know that you did that to him. It's
frustrating. It's it's like they have to live with this child in their home every single day after this, and and we don't know the level of the competency of the child. It was a baby girl, by the way, but it's like, well, we were going to kill you, but we asked for $80 million instead, so we're going to keep you, but we got a bunch of cash. How do you live like that? How do you live within your home and you have relatives and everyone? Oh yes, we were going to kill her, but guess what? We got a new condo, we got a new house, we got a new boat, because she isn't perfect. This is just so sick on so many levels. There just isn't even, it just makes me want to puke.
When this started in 2015, so you think about all the years. This took a lot of time, a lot of energy. You would think maybe they'd come to their senses and say, my goodness, we're trying to get money because we couldn't kill our own child. Man, I don't know. We need to pray for these people because I fear for the day they, have to stand in front of God. Scary.
Right. The question is, where's the love? Because, and I'll get into this in the next segment, but I know families who were devastated that were wishing that maybe this Down syndrome child would just die, but they fell in love with that child and they never would have done anything to hurt them. And sometimes it's the best thing that ever happened to their family. And this, even though this settlement didn't make big news, they're not the only ones. There's a lot of people who have received millions of dollars for suing for wrongful birth suits. And I like, Renee, what you said. What about them when they get elderly or when they're disabled? Does that mean they're not worth anything? Should somebody sue because I don't want to be responsible for the, well, nowadays you don't have to. You don't have to be responsible for your parents or for anybody else. But Jan, you mentioned they could have given her up for adoption. There's a big waiting list of people who want to adopt Down syndrome children. They could have given her up for adoption. But there's a vindictiveness there, like somebody's going to pay for this because she was even born. They could have immediately given her up for adoption or at any time. But no, they wanted the money.
So Patty, I have to tell you a story. I want to tell everyone. I have a very good friend, a couple actually, that live up in Minot. And their third child was a Down syndrome baby, very unexpected. And she brought so much joy to their life that they went ahead and adopted another child with Down syndrome.
Nice.
But wait, after that, they adopted another child with Down syndrome. And if that wasn't enough, they adopted their third child with Down syndrome. So they have 4 children with Down syndrome. And it's just unbelievable. They will be guests on our show. We're going to Zoom them in sometime in the near future. But it's just unbelievable how one family can just be so evil and want to get rid of these children, these gifts from God, and then the next family is just bring them in, I will take them.
Right, there's just a coldness there I can't even begin to understand.
And how can you spend even $1 of that? That's the part I don't get. It's like, are they going to be overjoyed because is money going to make all of this better? You know, part of that is the American greed. I will say that about hate to say it, but there are a lot of greedy people, and if you think $80 million is going to go ahead and make things right, it's not. Let God take care of this.
Not defending one iota of anything, but I would assume that the dollars that they are looking for are to help care for the child, because that's the only way I can reconcile it in my head without becoming nauseous.
What about people who, you know...
Well, that was the lawsuit. That wasn't necessarily the settlement.
But I'm sure they got at least half, I would think.
I have no clue, so I wouldn't judge it that way.
Right. $1's too much.
I have read other stories before on people that have gotten awarded, and so it's not always about taking the money to take care of them. Right. You know, there was a 2017 a British judge awarded somebody $12 million.
Well, it's punitive. They're punitive damages is what
Washington
they're doing.
State couple won $50 million in a lawsuit. They argued they were denied information that could have led them to abort their disabled baby. There's a lot of, and there's a different range of abilities. But like you said, anybody could have given that child up for adoption. But to keep the child, to not want them, and to sue that they were born, that's just it. They could be suing, hey, I need help, but they're suing that they were born. That had they been told, they would have aborted this child. And there's just such a coldness in our society. But this is a society that now accepts euthanasia. That what is the value of a human life? Is it only on what you can do? And I'll share some stories in the next segment about stories of that we're the ones with the disabilities. That couple, they're the ones with a disability. If their heart is that cold, and you just worry about that child living in their home, all the while they're suing that she exists at all. That doesn't seem like a good place for her.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know. I mean, I can't judge. I don't know them personally, and maybe they did end up falling in love with their daughter. Then why wouldn't you drop the suit? Aren't you happy that she is here in this world? And yeah, Jen, you might be right. A certain amount of it might be to help them take care of the child, but you don't have to go through the court in that. No. You know, we have disability. We have government care for disabled people and children.
Well, part of it is that we are such a litigious society. We see benefit in suing anybody for anything if we can get $1 out of it. That has a lot to say about the moral
compass.
Compass is a great terminology for it, the lack thereof in this country and around the world. It's always my body, my choice, until it isn't.
And you said in our country and around the world, we're going to talk a little bit about in the next segment about what is actually going on around the world, because in the United States, I think it's about 67% of Down syndrome children are aborted. But in some places, like Iceland, they brag that they are eradicating Down syndrome, eradicating it. So anyways, when we come back, we'll talk more with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve. through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back. We're talking about a hard topic here because it's about abortion, and a lot of Down syndrome is considered a reason to abort a child, and yet I know so many families that have been blessed by those children. There's people that want to adopt those children, and it's not fair that they're not allowed to live. In the United States, there's about 6,000 that are born a year. We have a 67% abortion rate. And in other countries, it's even worse. Mary, you had statistics on that?
I had read, I want to say the article was very informative, by the way, but the U.S., 67% of them after an ultrasound will abort a child with Down syndrome. In France, it's 77%. And let's move over to Denmark. 98% of them are aborted after they find out that they have Down syndrome. But it's worse in Iceland. Iceland is the worst country, where almost 100% of them are aborted. They're trying to eradicate Down syndrome. And you know, there's so many different disabilities. This is just the one they're talking about. So there's other disabilities as well that these babies are being aborted.
And
right. Go ahead. Did you have something?
I just think of, like, you know, Hitler and different times in history where we did this to individuals, and here we are. We're still doing this to human beings. It's barbaric. I can't believe with the knowledge we have today with science, and I thought we're supposed to become more compassionate, and here we're becoming less compassionate.
More selfish.
Well, but
yes.
Speaking of compassion, in Iceland, they do go ahead and give a little prayer card with babies' feet on it for those that didn't make it.
Wow.
Can
Isn't
you
that
believe
unbelievable?
it? So
Didn't make it.
To help you feel better.
They didn't make the grade, so that they go ahead and they give them a prayer card.
Right, and you know, I had written an article on it, and the reason I did is there was a program on 60 Minutes, and it was titled Eradicating Down Syndrome in Iceland. And so you're like wondering, how are they doing this? How could you celebrate this and do a program on it when in reality is they are carefully screening all pregnant women so they know if they have Down syndrome, and then they are counseled. And they are even told they may look cute when they're little, but they're not so cute when they get older.
Oh dear.
So this is their government, their entire country, that this is their goal. And I want to share with you, nobody chooses disabilities. You all want a healthy baby, but I just know so many families who feel blessed by different disabilities. It's a struggle. It's about making us stronger and better, that we don't just exist for ourselves. We don't have value just based on what can you do. We have value because we live, because we're human beings. And if we have a handicap and if we need help from somebody else, that adds to our society, that adds to our community. Two families that I know one is the Gary family, and they had a little boy, Dustin. Here they are. Liz Gary, I interviewed her before for the Amazing Grace book series, and when she found out she was pregnant with a Down syndrome child, she prayed to God, please take this poor child. She wasn't going to do it. She wouldn't have an abortion, but she asked, please take this child. He had another condition, and they said, you know what, he's not even going to survive. But in the course of a few weeks, she began falling in love with him. He was moving around in her, and she felt him. And she began desperately praying, God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I was so weak. And they prepared for his death because he had another condition, and the ultrasound said he wasn't going to survive. And she said it saved their marriage. They were united in their love for this child, and it totally turned their marriage and turned their life around. She's very active in disability groups now, rights for the disabled. And he is the one in the classrooms at school that brings everybody together. He is so well loved. In another family, the Mahala family, Tom explained to me in an interview, they had 7 very handsome, intelligent, athletic young men, young boys in their family. And for the 8th one, they felt like God played a trick on them. They finally got their girl. And when she was born, they realized, oh no, she has Down syndrome. When they went home and told the younger children, Tom did, his wife was still in the hospital, the younger children celebrated. But he said, I wish I could be excited like they were. He wasn't. He was hoping that because she had a heart ailment, that she would just die, that she wouldn't make it, because they just thought, oh my goodness, how can we handle this? But they knew it was the wrong way to feel, and they began praying, dear God, help us to be a father, help us a mother, help us to love this child. And they did. They fell so in love with this child that by the time she was being wheeled down for her heart surgery, Tom just broke down crying and said, you know, he just loved her, this poor little girl. And her name was Grace. And as time went on, she became just the pet of the family. And he said, our disability was a lack of love. Our sons were gifted in so many different ways, athletics, intelligence, but Grace is gifted in love. And when their older son, he had meningitis for a while, and he was in the hospital, and he was in ICU. And when he could receive visitors, Tom said, is there anything we can bring to you? And he said, just bring Grace. That was to him the best possible gift. Is all he wanted was to see his little sister. But see, they didn't choose a Down syndrome baby, but God gifted them with her. And she brought so much love into their family. And that is, I know it's not always easy, and here I am. Who am I to stand up and say, you take these children? I didn't have that same situation. But you know, you find strength through your faith, and you go forward, and life is not a choice. You know, if God gives us a life, we have to maybe adapt and deal with it.
Absolutely. You know, I listen to that story, and I think we don't know whose life is going to impact ours. We don't know whose life we are going to impact. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has something of value. Maybe it's not visually apparent to you immediately. Maybe it takes a while for you to understand what the gift was. Sometimes the gift is after the fact. You know, these people probably went through horrible financial hardship in order to have all of these surgeries for their child and any other hardships that come along with raising any type of disabled child, whether it's physical, emotional, mental. If it's something that God brings you to it, He will bring you through it. And I think we need to keep looking for the gift in everyone.
The key is that it is a gift, and that I also used to write for Woman's World magazine for 10 years, and what amazed me is there were so many miracle stories. There were so many that they had a big folder that you don't realize how many miracles happen where babies, they were told that their babies were going to be severely disabled. I know Marie and Dan Vetter in Linton, maybe we'll have them on the show. 3 different ultrasounds said there's no brain development. This baby probably isn't going to survive, and if it does survive, he's going to be a vegetable. He was born 100% healthy. I can't tell you the number of times. Was it a miracle? Was the ultrasound wrong? I think it's both. I think both things happen. And that's why we trust in the Lord and go from there, and then we help each other out. You know, we become a community. I'm sorry, go ahead, Renee.
That's okay. I need a box of tissues. This is a tough show. Yeah, there's so many amazing stories like that. My own aunt had a planned abortion because her doctor told her that the baby was going to be severely deformed, and she was very young. And she canceled the abortion. I'm not exactly sure like what transpired there, but her son was amazing. And he actually died a few years ago of lymphoma in his 40s, but he was my favorite cousin, Todd. And so he was like our miracle in our family that, you know, thank God she didn't do that. So
I always go back to Max Lucado. He has a story about blessings and curses. And we don't know if this is a blessing or a curse. What they think is a curse could actually be a blessing. What you think might be a blessing, the $80 million could be a curse.
Yeah.
And so this is all in God's hands, and you can't pick and choose which babies God gives you to carry.
Yeah. We just have to trust, right, and that everyone is a gift. When we come back, we're going to move to the lighter side, and we have a real inspiring story for you, a 14-year-old boy, when we come back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative BRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. It is time for the lighter side.
Yay, we need it today.
Yes, today and every day. And this is an inspiring story. A young man named Kyler at 14 years old, he was made fun of and bullied because of his shoes. Their family didn't have much money and there were holes in his shoe, and this is what he did about it.
At 14 years old, Kyler Nipper knows what it's like to be teased about worn-out shoes.
My shoes used to get creased a lot. They used to break and rip, and so the kids used to make fun of me for it.
The bullying got so bad he was attacked by a classmate, leaving him scarred physically and emotionally. But now he's making sure others, also living with limited means, have new shoes they're proud of. With his nonprofit called Kyler's Kicks. For Kyler, it's become almost a full-time job with hours every day coordinating donations, all leading up to this. Delivery day at Whitney.
When I was in middle school, I was getting bullied a lot over my shoes.
For many of these students, they're more than a pair of shoes. Their warmth in the winter or their first gift in a year.
It feels awesome helping out all the kids and making sure that they all have shoes.
I think they're gonna last long. He's very soft and very good. I'm really thankful for him giving me shoes.
Kyler's giving a lot, despite needing a lot himself. He and his family are currently homeless, living in a shelter. They say they struggled to make ends meet after paying for Kyler's therapy costs.
Making sure that other people are healthy and good, it really helps me out.
For Kyler, handing out shoes is his way of dealing with his past.
Yeah, every day giving back, it feels amazing. It really makes an impact on my life as well as others.
You still crying, everybody?
I think I'm gonna need tissues.
For good reason, though. But that poor kid, he apparently, I had to clip some of it. I couldn't do the whole entire report. It was too long. But he is receiving therapy. He suffers from PTSD after being beat up by bullies. Can you believe it? And look what he's doing. He's giving to others. But we hear over and over again, when we start giving to others, we make ourselves feel better. And we become empowered in such a good way. That's what other people are out there for us to reach out. And it's never ending, that kind of inspiration.
It's really cool to see someone like him be able to give back after experiencing the worst of people, getting the opportunity to show them what the best of people can look like, even if they're in a situation that isn't optimal. You know, being homeless absolutely is a tough place to be, and to be joyous enough to be giving in that way is just heartwarming.
I want to meet his parents because this is an exceptional kid. Like, how many kids would do something like this? They did a great job raising him, and you know what I'd love to do is find out who these people are. If there isn't a GoFundMe, we need to like raise money for them. They're homeless. You know, it's like, wouldn't that be a great project to raise money for them?
I think, Renee, can we do it?
I think that's a great idea.
Here's his website, Kyler's Kicks. It's kylerskicks.org. And he's only asking for money for shoes, to get shoes. And the school that we saw in that video clip was from a needy area. So a lot of those kids don't get gifts. They don't get, you know, they don't have warm shoes. And so he really is looking for kids that he can help in a real way.
Right. You know, and you can do that locally here too. A lot of times, say you go into a big box store like Walmart, they have racks and racks and racks of shoes at the end of the season, and they're $2, $6, $8 a pair. You know, when we spend what, $120 for our kids' basketball shoes, $180 for a pair of basketball shoes. Go ahead and spend $180 on some $5 shoes and take them down to the homeless shelter. they really, really appreciate it.
That's a great idea.
No doubt.
Excellent idea.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those end of the year sales, I used to do that at one of the stores that had drastic sales. And I used to buy up, you know, like new pajamas for $2. And you know those giving trees? I would stock up on all these gifts and then I'd wait for next Christmas. And you can just give these wonderful gifts that cost you a couple bucks.
Wow.
You know?
That's
So
a great
think about
idea.
that at the end of the year sales. Maybe you don't need it, but you can buy it to give it on to somebody else.
Absolutely. Or there's other ways to do that. You can go pay off somebody's layaway.
Yes. Oh,
You
yes.
know, and there are
How do you
layaways
do that?
all
I mean,
year long.
Jen, do you go and just ask specific, or how
you
does
go
that work?
to, well, the only place I've ever done it and myself is at Kmart here in Bismarck, which is no longer.
So you just
but
choose,
we would
or
go
do you give,
to
like, say, $200 and put it where they want, or how does that work?
You can ask them for some different totals and say, you know, okay, I have this much I can spare, so
Great
I'd
idea.
like to pay off some of these things. They don't always tell you what's in layaway or who or anything. You know, if you're given from the heart, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're
And
just
Well,
helping
they don't
somebody
put crack
else.
pipes on layaway, so I'm pretty
There
sure
you
you're
go.
safe.
It's something they wanted and they couldn't afford. We
Correct.
just have about a minute left. What are your parting thoughts for today?
I am going to go and blow my nose after all of this today and go home and hug my family.
This was wonderful. I really enjoyed this show, and I'm still so impressed by this young man. He inspires me, but I want to see their family blessed. You
Yes.
know, as well, for doing what he's doing. I feel bad that they're homeless.
I do too, yeah. Let's
and-
look into it.
And that's just it. The mainstream media really hides these stories. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of people that do good locally here. So we're going to try to find some of those stories and share them with you right here.
Yep.
That's a good
Absolutely. So join us tomorrow. We're going to talk with Clayton Peterson and talk about NRA issues with North Dakota and some of the gun legislation that we have coming up. So join us tomorrow on Ladies of Another View on Beck.